Welcome to Golden Stories, the home of powerful life lessons, emotional drama, and stories that will keep you thinking long after they end. If you enjoy what you're about to hear, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay connected with us. Now, let's dive in. It was a bright Saturday morning inside the lavish mansion of billionaire Richard Hemsley. Marble floors reflected the sunlight, chandeliers sparkled, and everything screamed wealth. But upstairs in little Sophia's room, something unusual was happening. Sophia sat on her soft velvet chair, smiling as the family's maid, Grace, carefully parted her hair and began to braid. Grace wasn't just the maid, she was the warm presence Sophia adored. The young girl trusted her, laughed with her, and on this day begged her to braid her hair just this once. Grace hesitated at first. She knew her boss wouldn't approve. But the way Sophia clasped her small hands and whispered, "Please, Grace, you braid better than anyone else." How could she say no? The two shared a quiet moment of joy. Grace hummed softly while braiding, and Sophia giggled, enjoying the gentle tug of her hair. It was simple, innocent, and pure. But peace in that house never lasted long. Just as Grace was halfway through, the door swung open. Richard Hemsley stood there, his face tightening with disgust as his eyes locked on the scene. His booming voice shattered the calm. "What is this nonsense? How dare you touch my daughter's hair with your dirty hands?" Sophia froze. Grace's hands trembled. Richard's eyes burned with rage. His voice cut through the air, sharp and merciless. "You're paid to clean floors, not contaminate my child. You think you belong here? Look at you. You'll never be more than the help." Sophia's eyes filled with tears. "Daddy, please stop. I asked her to do it. She's my friend," she cried. But Richard wasn't listening. You're watching Golden Stories, where every story carries a lesson worth remembering. If you're feeling the heat of this scene already, don't forget to like this video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe so you never miss what comes next. Grace's fingers slipped from Sophia's hair as the billionaire's rage thundered through the room. Richard took 2 steps forward, his polished shoes striking the marble floor like warning shots. "I knew employing you was a mistake," he spat, pointing at Grace with trembling fury. "Your filthy hands, your low-class habits, do you think this house is your playground? Do you even understand who you're standing in front of?" Grace's lips parted, but no words came out. She wasn't afraid of hard work, but this humiliation? It cut deeper than any insult she'd endured before. Sophia, sobbing now, rushed toward her father, tugging on his sleeve. "Daddy, please. She didn't mean any harm. I wanted her to do it." But Richard shoved her plea aside. His face reddened as he barked. "Don't defend her. You're a Hemsley. Your hair belongs in the hands of professionals, not servants from the street." Grace's eyes welled up. She looked at Sophia, the child she treated like her own, and whispered, "I'm sorry, my dear." Sophia clung to her, crying harder. "No, don't apologize. You're the best. Grace, I want you to stay." Richard's jaw tightened. His voice dropped into a cold, merciless tone. "Pack your things. Leave this house. I never wanted you here. It was your madam who insisted, but now I'm ending this mistake." The words hung heavy in the air. Sophia gasped, her small hands trembling as she shook her head in disbelief. Grace, her heart breaking, could only nod slowly. With quiet dignity, she placed the comb down, brushed a tear from Sophia's cheek, and turned toward the door. Grace walked slowly down the grand staircase, each step heavier than the last. The glittering chandeliers above mocked her, shining bright while her world dimmed with every heartbeat. Behind her, Sophia's cries echoed through the house. "Daddy, please don't send her away. I love her. I need her." But Richard's harsh voice cut through the sobs. "Enough. She's gone." End of discussion. Grace's chest tightened. She had worked in many homes, but none had carved into her soul like this one. Sophia wasn't just her employer's daughter. She was the little girl who ran into her arms after school, who begged her for bedtime stories, who trusted her more than anyone else, and now she was being ripped away. At the bottom of the staircase, she saw Madame Claire, Richard's wife, standing frozen, her hand pressed to her lips. Claire's eyes carried guilt, sorrow, and helplessness. She had fought for Grace to be hired, believing kindness should exist even in a house of stone. But her husband's decision was final, and Claire's silence sealed it. Grace forced a polite nod, though tears blurred her vision. She went into her small room, packed her modest belongings into a single worn-out suitcase, and paused to take one last look around. Every corner carried a memory. Sophia's laughter, her drawings tucked under Grace's pillow, the way she'd whisper secrets only to her. Upstairs, Sophia's wails grew weaker, muffled by Richard's stern commands. Grace closed her eyes, whispered a prayer for the child, and whispered to herself, "Be strong." She lifted her bag and walked out the door, her heart shattering with every step into the unknown. The evening sun cast long shadows across the driveway as Grace stepped out of the mansion. The iron gates loomed ahead, and with each step, her heart grew heavier. She had walked into that house years ago as just the maid, but now she was leaving as if part of her very soul had been torn away. Behind her, Sophia's cries still echoed faintly through the open window. "Grace, don't go! Please, Daddy, don't do this!" The sound was enough to break even the coldest heart, yet Richard stood firm, unmoved, watching from the doorway with his arms folded across his chest like a judge delivering a final sentence. Grace turned once, meeting Sophia's tear-streaked face pressed against the glass. She raised her hand in a small wave, forcing a smile despite the storm raging inside her. That fragile moment, one wave, one final goodbye, would stay with them both forever. She walked through the gates, the air outside feeling colder, heavier. The chauffeur glanced at her with pity but dared not intervene. The massive gates creaked shut behind her, sealing her fate, shutting her out of a life she had grown to cherish. Inside, Sophia collapsed on the floor, her small hands clutching the hem of her expensive dress. "I hate you, Daddy," she sobbed. Claire knelt beside her, tears brimming in her own eyes, whispering, "I'm sorry, my love." But Richard only turned away, muttering, "She was never meant to stay. This house is no place for her kind." And with that, silence swallowed the mansion, broken only by the sound of a child's broken heart. Thank you for watching Golden Stories. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful daily stories that will move your heart and open your eyes.